Hello and welcome to the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series, race number 1 of round 2 of the playoffs here at Dover Speedway. This is the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series Dover 200 here tonight, live on V-Speed. My name is Adam Baker. I'll be your commentator here tonight. Tonight's race brought to you by Alpha Ornamental Metals, as well as Rapid Fired Pizza. Alpha Ornamental Metals, they solve your ornamental metal needs, including steel, aluminum, and iron. Also home of the Streamline Railing, and they are located in Chesterfield, Virginia. You can check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/Alpha Ornamental Metals. So we just put that link there in the chat. Go check them out and support those guys by giving them a like or follow over there on Facebook. But we come into tonight's race. We've got a little bit of info for the track there on the right of your screen. A 1 mile track located here in Dover, Delaware. As these guys getting ready to qualify now. It's a 4-turn standard oval configuration, but high banked concrete surface here. And tonight's race is going to be 200 miles in 200 laps. So should be a good one here at the Monster Mile is what they call it. Very tough racetrack, and we saw quite a bit of action last night on this surface. So I'm looking forward to this one, and we'll see if some of our playoff drivers can make a name for themselves here and lock themselves into round 3. Here, as we've got 12 drivers in contention, we're going to bring up our grid coming into tonight's race. And this is just race number 1 of round 2. Jacob Shorba comes in here sitting your points leader, and he's got a decent gap to the cut line. As you see the number 4 machine of Jeremy Boucher tag the wall there on his hot lap. He's going to have to go out and try and get a better one. But Jacob Shorba coming in as your points leader. Jonathan Hernandez right there behind him. He's got a decent gap to the cut line. Alex Pelican, who's won the last 2 races, now sitting in 3rd by default from those 2 victories and all the playoff points gained. So he has done a great job here to move himself up. Justin Carey comes in 5th. He's just 4 points above the cut line. And basically 5th on back, all separated by just about 8 points. Or 7 points, I should say. So very close between all of these guys, and they're going to need some solid finishes here to set themselves up nicely for the next couple of races. But obviously tonight's race here at the Monster Mile going to be one of the more predictable ones, I think. So we'll have to see how these guys do tonight. But let's bring up our qualifying grid. You can see the fast time there at the top. It's Chris James, that number 8 machine. Really solid lap. Let's take a look at Eric Wineland, who is now rolling off of pit lane. And he was the fastest in the practice session, and Wineland, of course, coming in here. He is 7th in the point standing, so above the cut line for the next round, but only by a couple points. So he wants to lock himself in with a victory if he can. And he's been fast here so far tonight, and I guess over the weekend or the week of practice sessions, he has been pretty quick as well. He makes his way out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Let's bring up what the track conditions are here tonight. 74-degree air temp and 95-degree track temp, so I think a little bit cooler than yesterday's 12 machine. Oh, he tags the wall coming out of the corner. Pushed it a little bit too hard, and that is going to cost him a lap. So Alex Pelican completing his lap. He goes to now 4th on the board. Dylan Canova, who dominated last night in the National Series, he now jumps to the top of the board with a 21:36. That's a fast lap here with this new aero package. These guys can make it around these corners at such high speeds. It's pretty incredible, honestly. And let's see who else is on track. Chad Gettingsman looks like he is going to try to get off of pit road a little bit better. Mark Brannigan out here. And Brannigan ran quite well last week at the Roval. 52 machine trying to get a nice clean lap here. It looks like he'll get across the line at 21.362, so 1/1000th off of Canova's time. Brandon Andrews now out on track. He goes around out of turn 2, so that's not going to count for him. We'll see if he can get a lap in before the session is up. And Justin Carey out on track as well. Carey comes in here 5th in points. And he's trying to get a nice lap down. Made it around the front half of the track with no issues just yet. And he's going to catch the wall there. Yeah, not enough room to do that. Charged a little too hard through 3 and 4, and he is not going to get a time in. Curtis Valenzuela, that number 36 machine, also a playoff driver here. He is trying to get his lap time in. But a lot of these guys struggling out of turn 4. Valenzuela gets a clean start to his flyer now. And this is going to be his fast lap. If he can get it in here, he's got 5 seconds, so I don't think it's going to happen. And Valenzuela not going to be able to complete his qualifying lap as the field now frozen. We only had 8 qualifiers. But let's go to our starting grid tonight. It is Dylan Canova starting on the pole here at the Monster Mile. Dylan Canova, that number 24 machine, so dominant last night in the National Series. We'll see if he can actually capture the win here, as he got put behind in the last set of pit stops last night and did not capture the win in the end. Also on the front row is going to be Mark Brannigan, that 52 machine. Great lap time by him, very close to capturing the pole himself. So good lap times by those two, and we'll see how they can do in tonight's race. Starting third is Chris James. Fourth is going to be Daniel Hallis in that number 53 machine. Alex Pelican, the winner of the last 2 events, he starts 5th here tonight. Jonathan Hernandez is going to be rolling off in that 6th position. In 7th, it's Darren Clement. 8th is going to be Justin Boyles in that 10 machine. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who captured a win just a few weeks ago at Las Vegas, he's going to be rolling off in that 9th spot. Chad Ginningsman going to be rolling off in the 10th position. Rolling off in 12th, it's going to be Eric Wineland. Or 11th, it's going to be Eric Wineland. In 12th, it will be Christopher White. Brandon Andrews rolling off 13th. Jacob Shorba, your points leader, is going to be rolling off in the 14th position here. Derek Runge is going to be rolling off in 15th. Brian Pizzakemi, the 48, going to be rolling off in the 16th spot. Justin Carey will be starting in 17th. Chris Echeper rolling off in 18th. Alex Link going to be rolling off in 19th. And Tim Williams starting in 20th position. Curtis Valenzuela in that 36 car going to be rolling off in 21st. Ryan Strunk starting here in 22nd. Matthew Benjamin on the inside in 23rd. Chris Hansen rolling off in 24th. Nicholas Starling starting 25th. 26th is James Love. 27th, Frank Wineset. 28th, Jeremy Boucher. And that's going to conclude our field here. A shorter field for these guys, but good size for the Monster Mile, I would say. As they are starting to roll off a pit road here. And we'll have 1 pace lap. And then we'll be going pretty soon here, so like we do every race, shout out in chat who you think is going to win tonight's event or your favorite driver, and we'll try and follow along with them throughout tonight's race. And this is race number 1 of round 2, the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series playoffs. And these drivers in for a decently long race, 200 miles, 200 laps at a tricky concrete oval here in Dover, Delaware. Looking forward to the racing action we're going to see here. We're going to have 3 stages at 50, 50, and 200. So 50, 100, and 200, I should say, as the pace car is in, the field getting ready to go. Canova in control, and we are underway at Dover for the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series playoff round 2. Canova, good jump side by side for that second position. The 8 machine, down low, Chris James, the fill-in driver here in that 8 machine. And we are under caution already. They've piled it up in turn 3. And I think we've got quite a few playoff drivers. Justin Boyle's in the heart of this. The 77 Ryan Strunk. 36 machine of Curtis Valenzuela. The 32 machine of Christopher White. No front end there. And quite a few others. So already under caution. Let's go back and take a look at what happened. Eric Wineland also caught up in this. Let's take a look here at what happened to the 12 machine as he was down low. The 10 bouncing off the wall catches Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and they slide down to the inside. Brandon Andrews there. The 2 machine goes around 32-48, so tons of playoff implications here. Many of them caught up in this. Wineland being one, Ryan Strunk another, Justin Boyles, Jacob Shorbo was able to make it through, but Pitsakemi heavily damaged in this. And yeah, so not a good start for many of these drivers. And we didn't even make it one lap around here, and it is a tricky track, but obviously close quarters not working out there on lap number 1. We've got Rudate in chat here cheering for the number 3 or number 8 RCR machines. That's Alex Pelican, winner of the last 2 events. He's in 6th. And Chris James up there in that 2nd spot. Those cars have been very quick the last couple weeks and definitely going to be top contenders here tonight. But Canova, who started so strong and led the majority of the laps last night, only to fall to 3rd after the final pit cycle. Currently your leader and pole sitter here tonight, but we're already under caution. We're going to cut quickly to a sponsored commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. The field about to get going green now for the second time. On the front row, it's Dylan Canova. He elects to take the high line. Chris James down on the inside. And 24 going to have a good advantage. He used this strategy yesterday. Good jump for him here in the field. Gets going now. Back underway at Dover, and we're going to bring up our ticker so you can follow along with your favorite driver in the field here tonight. Canova under attack now from Chris James, so that changed quickly. The 8 gets a great run through 1 and 2, and he is trying to get that nose out in clean air as the 24 almost tagging the wall, but Chris James will lead that lap. So we complete one lap here under green now. Daniel Hallis to the inside, going to try and take over second from Canova, but that 24 car not as quick as I expected here, but he looks down back to the inside. He's making me eat my words now, battling back for the lead as it's Chris James and Canova battling for that position. We'll see who captures this. It's a 24 a little bit loose down low, and Chris James able to hang that high line and ride the momentum around here as he now captures that spot. Jonathan Hernandez back here trying to take the position away from Daniel Hallis. Looks like he will and move up to that 4th spot. Daniel Hallis will drift back to the 5th position, and a little ways back, Alex Pelican starting to close in on the top 5. One of the fastest cars on track, so I'd expect to see him start mixing it up out there. Now, Nicholas Starling under fire from Justin Carey. He's going to just slide right past along with Darren Clement, and Starling going to lose 2 spots there in the span of 1 corner. And then we've got a group of heavily damaged race cars back here. The number 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin was caught up in that first wreck along with Curtis Valenzuela behind him, but the 36 a little bit less damage, I think. And he is just going to drive right on past. But that 11 well off the pace as he almost tags the wall coming out of turn 4. And he will drop back to the 16th spot. Here's Jacob Shorba, one of your playoffs drivers who made it through that wreck. He's got a ways to go. Currently riding in the 19th position. Just starting at 14th. Surprised to not see Jacob moving a little bit more forward. He is currently 11.3 seconds off your leader. But right behind him, Alex Link, that 51 machine that ran so well last week. He is about where he started here. Also Tim Williams in the 96 in tow behind these two. It's a little 3-car pack, 11 or so seconds off the leader. Meanwhile, it's still hot and heavy at the front. The 8 of Chris James trying to hold off Dylan Canova. And Jonathan Hernandez now moving up into the 3rd spot. So that Cincinnati Industries paint scheme, brand new paint scheme that Alex Bowman is running in the Cup Series this weekend. He is now up into 3rd here tonight. And top 4 have broken away from Daniel Hallis, who's in 5th. And starting to get chased down by Alex Pelican. Justin Carey also running great lap times, almost as fast as your leaders. He's got his sights set on Pelican right out the windshield, and he's going to go now to the inside, and Pelican probably just going to hand it to him here. I don't think the 3 has a whole lot to lose at this point in the race to let him go, and the 21 going to drift up in front, and they will swap positions. So we are back under caution now. The 4 machine, Jeremy Boucher, that car absolutely destroyed sitting here on the back straightaway in the middle of the track. He will tow it to pit road and call it a night. That's caution here, how that started. Looks like the 4 machine running up behind the 41. He just slams the wall, hits the inside, and then comes up into the 51 of Alex Link, who had been running up there with Jacob Shorba. Those 2 cars absolutely destroyed, and the 4 was sitting here. No nose on that race car. The field was starting to come up behind him, and he took it to pit road. But Alex Link going to be in trouble here. The 51 machine heavily damaged. He goes 1 lap down now. Brian Pizzicemi trying to get some damage fixed on the 48, and he is a playoff driver, so gonna have to try and salvage as many spots as possible, and it's already become a race of attrition with only 19 drivers on the lead lap. Pizzicemi, the first driver, 1 lap down. It's Chris James leading the field back down pit road. Looks like Taylor Butcher Benjamin going to stay out here and try and lead a lap. At the end of pit lane here, let's watch our leaders as they make their way into their boxes. Canova hitting his marks perfectly. And it looks like Frank Wineset may be missing his box. Yep, did not stop in his box. And here come a few drivers. The 88 machine, the 8, gonna beat Canova off of pit road. So it'll be Chris James that wins that battle. Jonathan Hernandez second. Mark Brannigan third. Dylan Canova in fourth, assuming those top 2 who stayed out will bring it back down pit road. But to recap, we've had 2 cautions already here in rapid succession. These guys struggling with the handling here early on, and 2 lead changes at the front just between Chris James and Dylan Canova, as now Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Frank Wineset make their way onto pit road. We are working under caution one more time. Gives us time to let you know that you can get your own iRacing Fantasy Cup Series merchandise if you head over to the V-Speed shop. A portion of each sale of either the hat or t-shirt you see on your screen will contribute directly back into the league funds here, and the first 25 to use the code FANTASY5 will save $5 on their purchase of $10 or more. That code is good for any item in the shop, but only those 2 items on the screen or the National Series merchandise will go back to the league funds here. So head on over there, see if there's anything that you like, get yourself some great merchandise, and support both V-Speed and the iRacing Fantasy Series. We also want to give a shout out to Alpha Ornamental Metals, which is the sponsor here tonight. They solve your ornamental metal needs, including steel, aluminum, and iron. Also home to the Streamline railing. Located in Chesterfield, Virginia. You can give those guys a like or follow over on Facebook.com/Alpha Ornamental Metals and support them. Back here at Dover, we're waiting for the pace car lights to turn off as we continue pacing under caution. It's going to be Chris James, your leader on this restart. And he was able to just drive straight past Canova, who looked like he started to struggle there. And we had some cloud cover, but it is now back and sunny here. It's going to be the 8 and 88 on the front row. These 2 teammates in the National Series, but not tonight. If you're enjoying the broadcast, please consider following or subscribing to V-Speed here on Twitch. We're live multiple times throughout the week, and if you subscribe to us, you can get access to custom emotes or your own premier emotes and become a premier fan of the V-Speed broadcasting channel. We would really appreciate the support. We've had lots of people follow and subscribe. We had a few even before the broadcast tonight, so we want to thank everybody who came out to follow and subscribe and is watching here as Chris James already gets him going. Big jump for that car up on the outside in the field, making their way down the front straightaway. Chris James well out in front by about 0.6 of a second. Hernandez now going to take over that second spot without issue. Dylan Canova trying to find a spot in the line here as he tries to get in front of Justin Carey, but not going to find the room to do that. Carey down to the inside. This is for 4th and 5th. And they're racing pretty close here out of turn 4, a scary part of the track to be doing that. And the 24 hanging on to that position for now, but the 21 not going to go away without a fight. As we see Brian Pizzicemi now down on the apron and off the pace. He's actually coming back on the racetrack, waiting for somewhere to slot in to the racing groove, but he is well off the pace here. And Chris James leading the way, but Jonathan Hernandez starting to track him back down. And Hernandez comes into the race tonight in the second position in points, and he's looking for a lock into round 2 if he can get it here. This car looks awfully quick in the early runnings of tonight's race. Mark Brannigan back here in third. He is starting to catch up to these two as well, but Hernandez really closing that gap as they go down into turns 3 and 4. Thank you, John Jones, for tuning in here. Thank you for that kind comment. Right now we got a battle for 10th and 11th. Chad Gittingsman looks like he is filling in that 2 machine. Going to try and get that car a top 10. As he's not having great runs in the last few weeks. They've encountered some issues with that race car, just getting involved in wrecks. So he's going to try and steer this car to a top 10, maybe a top 5, after finishing very well last night in the National Series. Back here, Jacob Shorba racing it up with Chris Etchepair. Both of these drivers are playoff contenders, and Shorba not moving towards the front like I'd expect him to, but just kind of riding right now. We're still in the first quarter of the race, and the stage is going to be coming out in about 23 laps, so no need to rush, knowing that there's going to be a caution break, and you can continue to make adjustments on your race car. We've got 19 drivers on the lead lap right now, and Chris James leading the way. Jonathan Hernandez right behind him, almost tags the wall. And it looks like Justin Carey maybe dragged it along that turn 2 wall for just a moment. So we're watching along with him. Up from 17th position. Remember, he tagged the wall in qualifying, and that lap didn't count. But he is now up inside the top 5. Oh, maybe a little tap there. As he's trying to chase down Dylan Canova, that 24 car, running very quickly here tonight. He's filling in for Troy Sabat. 24 machine, but doing a good job right now as we maybe had a car go around. That might have been the 48 machine of Pitsakemi. He's on pit road running very slowly. And the car sounds like it's still running, but just barely. So Pitsakemi in trouble here. He is 3 laps off the pace already in the 20th spot, and not looking good for his playoff start, or at least the start of round 2. But Chris James starting to stretch it out over Jonathan Hernandez, who rides about a 10th and a half back in second, actually closes in just a little bit there. Mark Brannigan under fire. Dylan Canova is starting to make his charge back towards the front. We'll see what he has for long run speed in the 24. And Justin Carey right there. Daniel Hallis about 2 seconds back from Carey. And then about a second back, it's Alex Pelican in that 7th position. Well, he sees his teammate up in the lead. I would expect these RCR machines to run extremely well throughout tonight's race. Brandon Andrews looks like he's got some right front damage, but up here in the 8th position, so doing a good job and holding off Darren Clement and Chad Gittingsman. And Gittingsman now in the top 10. He's right on the back bumper of Clement to try and take over that 9th spot. Charging hard here early. And that is Jordan Brockle's car. He has had a bad couple of races, so maybe couldn't make it tonight, and Chad Gittingsman filling in for him. And Jacob Shorba now starting to move forward a little bit. He is up to the 12th position. Justin Boyle's right behind him with heavy rear end damage that's definitely affecting the speed of that race car. But Shorba now sets his sights onto the 96 up there in front of him and see if he can earn some stage points here, catch up to Chad Gittingsman, Brandon Andrews, and Darren Clement, those three battling just inside the top 10. And nice little green flag run here right now. And it looks like Matthew Benjamin battling up with Taylor Butcher Benjamin. 11 and 38 here. This is for 16th and 17th. And this is about your closest battle on track. Also Frank Weinset, who pitted a lap or two later than the rest of the field. He's right here behind them in 18th. Also Derek Runch here, last car on the lead lap in 19th. That car looks like it doesn't have any damage, or at least major damage. As the 32 Christopher White trying to get back up through this field. He is currently 9 laps down, but needs to run out the rest of the laps as much as he can, because he comes into the race here 11th in the standings on much fresher tires than the rest of these guys. But once again, 9 laps off the field. Chris James starting to stretch out once again, up to 0.4 of a second. Mark Brannigan almost 2 seconds back. And then Justin Carey now taking over 4th from Dylan Canova. Slots into that 5th spot, so not quite the speed that the 24 is probably looking for in the early running, but he does have some right side damage, so obviously caught the wall here and maybe struggling with a tight condition as he goes and puts a lap on the 12 machine of Eric Wineland, who's 30 laps off the pace. Another playoff contender. He came in the 7th spot, currently running in 25th, so not good start to round 2 for that 12 machine. As Daniel Hallis goes right on by. Alex Pelican, the next one in line behind him. And that 12 machine well off the pace here. He's going to continue to drop laps, but needs to try and complete as many as possible. Here comes the 3 now. It's just going to fly right on past. Out front, it is still Chris James. Jonathan Hernandez not closing or gaining, but they are, those top 2, pulling away significantly over Mark Brannigan, who's got the 21 coming up in his rear view mirror. And yeah, the 2 machine is on the move up to 9th now. He did get around Brandon Andrews, but unable to keep up with the 1 machine of Darren Clement, who set his sights on Alex Pelican. That 3 machine not as quick as it's been here the last couple weeks, but still riding solidly in the top 10, which is all he needs to do here in round 1. But Clement closing quickly, and here he comes. Now looks down to the inside. The 3 is going to throw the block. The 1 goes up to the middle line. Going to try and bring it down low. But not a very good set of corners there in 3 and 4, and he'll have to try again here on this next lap. And we still have this battle going on back here. The 38 of Matthew Benjamin has gotten away from Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who has dropped a few positions. Looks like he made some heavy contact with the right front here to add to his damage that he already had. Frank Weinset here, the 31, was right on the back bumper of the 38. Bad set of corners, and here comes Derek Runch. Now going to look to the back bumper, but backs off here in 1 and 2. The 47 going to try and capture a spot here as we are closing in on the end of stage 1. Chris James with the lead, and Jonathan Hernandez starting to close as he gets loose out of the corner. Going to hang on to it here. But the 88 a little bit quicker at this point in the run. We'll see if he has enough to get there. So now on 3 to go. Pizzacchemi coming out of the pits one more time. He is now sitting 20 laps off the pace. So Ryan Pizzacchemi needs to finish as many laps as he can, capture as many playoff points as a couple of his playoff foes here are already out of the event in Ryan Strunk and Curtis Valenzuela. But will be the white flag lap here for the stages. Jonathan Hernandez pushing very hard. He tags the wall. Mark Brannigan trying to hang on to third. He has done so. Justin Carey has fallen back into the clutches of Dylan Canova. As we are now on lap 50, the 8 machine out in front. Jonathan Hernandez now within a quarter second, but slides up the track a little on turn 2. And unless there's a big mistake here, it looks like Chris James is going to capture the stage win. So coming around here to the line, the 8 machine, Chris James going to capture your stage win. The 88 of Jonathan Hernandez second. And we'll run through the top 10 here. Caution is out for the stage. Chris James, your stage winner. He will get 10 stage points and a playoff point, but he is not in the playoffs, so not going to matter here. Jonathan Hernandez finishing second in the stage. Mark Brannigan finishing third here. Justin Carey fourth. Dylan Canova going to come home fifth. Daniel Hallis in sixth. Darren Clement, that number 1 machine, going to finish seventh. Alex Pelican going to finish eighth here, and Chad Ginningsman going to be ninth. Brandon Andrews rounds out the top 10 in the stage. Couple playoff drivers not capturing points there. Jacob Shorba, Justin Boyles, Chris Etcheper, and all the other drivers caught up in that initial incident. It looks like Chris James going to bring him down pit road now. We're going to try and talk with Alex Pelican after these guys complete their pit stops. But they are making their way down pit road now, led by Chris James. And we'll see if anybody makes a mistake getting into their box. The 8 big slide into the box. Looks like 53 overshot his box. But everybody else nicely into their stall here. We'll see who wins the battle off. Looking like Chris James, a good pit stop. 14.5, he will win that battle off. Looks like Mark Brannigan a 14.2 and Jonathan Hernandez a 15.8. A very long stop here. That's going to put him back to third. And Alex Pelican going to come out here in fifth. So let's see if we can dial up driver of the number 3 machine. Alex Pelican, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. Do you have a copy? Alex Pelican, Adam in the V-Speed booth. Do you have a copy? It looks like we do not have Alex here, so let's see if we can talk to Chris James, that number 8 machine. Chris James, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You have a copy?
I got you, Adam.
Well, Chris, you find yourself up here in the front after starting in third position, but looks like that RCR machine's doing pretty well out there, but how's it feeling for you?
She's actually feeling pretty good right now. Hopefully it continues as the run goes on. She's pretty hooked up.
Yeah, and you came away with the victory here last night. How do these cars compare to those national cars? Or are they quite different in the handling tonight?
Completely different. Free car, lots of brake. This car, little to no brakes. You kind of lift through the corners. Completely different concept. But I put a little practice in right before the race. It helped me out a little.
Yeah, and your teammate back there, Alex Pelican, that number 3 machine, he's currently riding in 5th. So both of you guys definitely doing a good job here to start this one. And what's the plan for stage number 2?
Keep the fenders on the car. Try to repeat stage 1.
Yeah, 10-4 on that. Well, we're going to let you go here. It looks like you're probably going to get the 1 to go. So good luck with the rest of the race, and hopefully we talk to you later.
I appreciate it, Adam.
All right, that was the number 8 of Chris James, that RCR machine. Winner of last night's event in the closing laps. He was able to capture the win away from Dylan Canova, who currently rides 4th here tonight, but Chris James already off to a great start tonight. And kind of flip-flopped from last week. At the Roval, he dominated in the national race, but in the Cup race, he was not able to capture the win after being so quick. He ended up coming home, I think 3rd, maybe 4th in that race. But tonight, he is definitely quick here. Yesterday, he was a little bit behind, but somehow came away with the victory. So he had won 2 nationals races in a row, and looking for a win here in the Cup race at Dover tonight. He's definitely on a roll here. As he already gets him going, green flag going to be back in the air here at the Monster Mile. Green flag back up, and Mark Brannigan in 2nd. He's got pressure from Jonathan Hernandez as they head into turn 1, but they will make it in there safely. And everybody pretty much single file here. We've got a little battle a bit farther back. Looks like maybe Justin Carey making his way around Matthew Benjamin. The 21 machine up into 13th, and we've got 3 wide a bit farther back. But that settles itself out. Justin Boyles was in the middle of it as he's trying to capture some spots here. He is in 18th now, and looks like he is on a mission. That car is flying through the center of the corner as he rides up to the back of Frank Weinset in the 31 machine. Boyles here, heavy rear end damage. Eric Wineland right out there behind him. He is currently 30 laps off the pace. Pitsakemi did take a wave around there and get 1 lap back. Thank you, E. Pereira 31 for the follow and supporting V-Speed. Really appreciate it here. Wow, Chris James out in front. Mark Brannigan in 2nd now. He was in 3rd before that caution. He's doing a good job holding off Jonathan Hernandez, and Canova riding back here in the distance. See if he can muster up the speed that he had yesterday here in stage number 2. Alex Pelican going to move up to 5th now. Chad Ginningsman, that 2 machine up into 6th through the pit cycle. Very quick. Thank you, John Jones, for the follow. Chad Ginningsman moving forward. In 7th is Daniel Hallis in that 53 machine. 42 of Brandon Andrews right behind him. As Justin Carey continuing to make moves here. He goes to the outside of Jacob Shorben. Those two have, I think, been fairly close together throughout this race. But Shorba going to lose out for now. And that 95 machine, not quite the speed that we saw a handful of races ago. But maybe just taking his time here. We're not even halfway. The 43 machine almost tags the wall, and Justin Carey had to make an evasive maneuver. But Starling gonna hand over a couple spots there. Here comes the 41 of Etcheper up behind him. The 43 will slot in the line in 12th position. Chad Ginningsman now all over the back bumper of Alex Pelican. This is going to be for 5th position. The 3 car obviously struggling a little bit here tonight. Now Ginningsman down to the inside in that Worth Ford Mustang. Going to try and complete the pass. Not going to be able to do it here. And the 3 of Pelican going to just drive back by with the momentum from that high line. Now they swap lines. The middle line here. Oh, almost tags the wall. Still able to gain a bit of time on the 3 here. This is a great battle to watch. As Ginningsman, you can see how much he closes there. But behind them, Daniel Hallis starting to close in as well. And at the front, it was almost a change for position here. The number 52 was under fire from Hernandez. And they were both putting pressure on Chris James. So that 8 car looking a little bit more mortal here tonight in this 2nd stage. And now he starts to stretch it out over the 52. And the 88 maintaining his gap to Brannigan. we've got a battle a little ways back here. Starling now getting passed by Chris Etcheper. This is 12th and 13th and 14th on your screen. 38 of Matthew Benjamin looking to close in here. Try and gain another spot. But knocking out the laps pretty quickly now that we're going green. We had those quick cautions at the start. And now the 43, slow off of turn 4. Here comes the 38 of Benjamin down low. He's going to take that spot away, and Nicholas Starling has not been fighting too hard here tonight. And he's just been letting these guys go. The one machine now, Darren Clement, comes up into this fight, riding in 15th position. He's going to try and move up to 14th if he can. And the 43 once again struggling out of turn 4. And there goes Clement right by on the inside. Nicholas Starling losing some positions here. Looks like maybe an issue a bit farther back, but battle here, the 32. Oh, the 12 is actually off the pace, so 32 just trying to get by, and that's allowed Derek Runge to close right on in. Oh, 32 is actually 8 laps off the pace, so Christopher White here, one of your playoff drivers. He's in the 12th or 20th position after starting in 12th. That 12 machine not letting him get by here. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of history, and maybe they were caught up here in the first incident. But they continue to run side by side, and this is just holding up Derek Runge, who is on the lead lap. Behind them, also Frank Wineset. At the front, Chris James has gapped Jonathan Hernandez, and Hernandez able to get by Mark Brannigan and regain that second position. Chad Genningsman battling it up here with Daniel Hallis. Genningsman actually lost the spot to Hallis. So the number 2 drifting back to 7th now, and he's got Brandon Andrews coming up rapidly. Jacob Shorba now up to 11th. He sets his sights on Justin Carey. The iRacing I flag, number 95 machine. Those 4 drivers up in front of him racing it out for position, and Shorba just hopes they continue to do that so he can close in and maybe capture some stage points, which would be very useful in race number 1 here. But solid run going for Jacob, and really all he needs here tonight to stay in contention. He is coming in the points leader, so a little less pressure on him to perform quite as well, but you want to do the best you can and definitely want to try and give it a shot to win here. Is the one machine, Darren Clement, going to go right on by Matthew Benjamin. And now Mark Brannigan going around. Not sure what happened here, if he tagged the wall, but let's see. Oh, wow. Racing it up with Dylan Canova, and no caution on the track, but I think they, oh yeah, a little contact there out of turn 2. The 52 bouncing it off that wall, trying to hang on to it, keep it out of the inside. But he looped that thing around and was able to keep it off that inside wall, but having trouble getting it back straight. And he will drop all the way to 19th after running in 3rd there. So big development for that 52. Now Jonathan Hernandez without pressure from behind, as Canova almost a second and a half back, and he has started to close in on Chris James, that number 8 machine out front. And your fastest cars on track are the 88 and the 24. Those 2 teammates here, the 24 obviously Canova filling in. Jonathan Hernandez running very well tonight. Hear that car start to slide all the tires across the track, but he looks like he's got good control. Once again, almost a 10th faster than anyone else on track. And Canova running almost identical times to your leader, so he is quick too and is closing in on the leader, but meanwhile Hernandez is driving away from him. Daniel Hallis back here about 5 seconds off the leader. Alex Pelican not too far behind him in the 5th spot. Chad Ginnigsman now retaking 6th from Justin Carey. Who rides in 7th here. Tim Williams, a good run for him. That Express Maintenance 96. Doing a good job here. I haven't seen him out on track in this series before, so obviously either filling in or a new driver to the series, but doing a good job here in the opening stages right now inside the top 10. It's Jacob Shorby actually closing in pretty quickly here. Let's see the gap now. Yeah, closed up quite a few seconds and only about 8/10 back from Tim Williams up there. Shorby in the top 10 now, so he's going to try and earn those stage points. Try and get a few more of them here with 18 to go in the stage. So good racing by these guys. Now we've had a long green flag run here since the start of the stage, with only the 52 being caught up in anything, and he is trying to catch up to Frank Weinset, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and Nicholas Starling. He's not far behind them, but a little bit of right side damage on that car now, definitely not helping the performance, but he's running about a half second faster than them each lap. We'll see the closing right here as we go to the nose cam on that car. Probably driving with a little bit of anger right now, as he was up there battling for top 5 position and now finds himself last car on the lead lap. 21 seconds off your leader, Chris James, and 43 is Starling, really struggling here in stage 2. He's just gonna give that spot up to Brannigan now. So they racing side by side down the backstretch. Now the 43 gonna lose that spot. He will drop to 19th, and Brannigan now up to 18th. And he sets his sights on the 31 of Weinset. Once again. So definitely a car to keep an eye on is that 52 machine. I think he'll find his way up to the top 5 before this is all said and done. But he's gonna have a hard time, I think, competing for the win here, unless he pulls a little bit of strategy. And we'll have to see how that works out for him. But right now, it's a half-second gap between your leaders, Jonathan Hernandez and Chris James. And not too far up the road is Brannigan, who's gonna try and stay on that lead lap. Your leader's running a 23:32 for Chris James and 23:26 for Jonathan Hernandez. Meanwhile, the 52 of Brannigan all the way up to 16th now. He ran a 23:55 after making all those passes, so still has quite a bit of speed, but he is about a second and a half away from being lapped, so he's going to try and hang on here for the next 12 laps. And Chris James going to do the same as Hernandez gets very loose out of the corner there. Costs him quite a bit of time, and your fastest car on track is Daniel Hallis, the number 53, riding in the 4th spot. And I would not be surprised if during stage number 3, a long run speed comes to pay off. So let's listen in with Hallis here, see that car is handling for him. Able to ride that low line. It looks like pretty well glued to the track here. No issues with handling at all. And he was about a 10th faster than anybody else on track. So 53 machine hooked up here in the last little bit of stage 2. Starting to close in on your leaders. And Justin Carey here battling with Alex Pelican. This is for 5th and 6th. And both of them would like the stage points. Pelican, the winner of the last 2 events here in the Cup Series. And Brandon Andrews just behind them, also looking for stage points. Oh, 21, big slide there. Justin Carey able to hang on to it, but he's going to lose a lot of time. And here comes Brandon Andrews charging up behind. Maybe sensing a little bit of blood in the water from that camouflage Ford Mustang. And once again, Daniel Hallis just as fast as your leaders, if not faster. The top 4 all very close on time. Chris James, though, actually losing a bit there, but then puts down an even better lap than everyone else. So currently 0.8 of a second up in front of Jonathan Hernandez. Oh, the 12 machine of Eric Wineland going to go around. He is down off the racing groove, though, and trying to get it moving. But looks like that car is not wanting to roll. Now he gets it fired and back underway. But he's 31 laps down and really just fighting for every lap position he can here as we continue to ride. Lap 94 coming to lap 95, so only a handful more until the end of the stage. And Jonathan Hernandez is not giving up hope, starting to close back in on Chris James. Now the gap under 6/10 as the 8 battling with Derek Runge there. That's going to slow him down. The 47 tags the wall, and Hernandez makes a bold, evasive maneuver there. And he's going to try and close in. This is the gap from first to second. You can see Chris James right there trying to hang on to this for a stage win, or another stage win. The 88, you can hear the back end wiggling. They're pushing really hard right now. And Daniel Hallis now moving up to third, but the leader's completely out of sight, 4 seconds up the road. He is the fastest car on track, and I would look to see if that 53 can do anything here in the last stage in just a few laps. But Chris James out in front, and Jonathan Hernandez once again charging hard here. Gonna try and close that gap. Here's the 88 down into turn 3. Thank you, Cody Tabor Racing, for the follow and supporting V-Speed. Thanks for tuning in here tonight. Good race so far from the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series. As it's Chris James out in front, the 8 machine, and then the 88 back here in second, 4/10 behind him. They are approaching Mark Brannigan, who's going to try and fight to stay on the lead lap. That 52 machine right in front of your leader. That car is quick, but I don't know with the damage how slow he is. As Chris James closing in, now within 1 car length, the 52 goes up the track, and not going to fight him too hard. I thought he would have fought, as Justin Boyles is not too far. He's a little ways up the road, so not really in danger of going a lap down. But Brannigan going to go 1 lap down after the contact with Canova sent him around. And he's going to try and stay right here as Hernandez behind him. That's actually not going to help the 88 at all. And Chris James looks like he's on his way to stage win number 2 in tonight's race at the completion of this lap. Hernandez is going to make his way around and try and close one more time, but it's not going to happen here. The 8 machine comes across the line, going to win stage number 2. Jonathan Hernandez once again playing second fiddle in that second spot as we wait for the drivers to make their way across the start-finish line. Wait for that caution to come out. And caution is out. So Chris James is going to be your winner of stage 2. In second, it's Jonathan Hernandez, that number 88 machine. Daniel Hallis takes over third from Canova, and definitely one of the fastest cars on track. So keep your eye on that 53. Canova comes home 4th in the stage. Alex Pelican 5th. Justin Carey in the 6th spot. 7th spot is Brandon Andrews. 8th is Tim Williams. Good run by the 96 here tonight. Darren Clement in 9th and 10th. Jacob Shorba earning a stage point. Definitely going to help him here tonight as he comes in your points leader, but hasn't had quite the speed yet in this race that we expect from that 95 machine. But we'll see what he can do here in the last stage. It's still a lot of time as we are just at the halfway point. I think I want to try and talk to Tim Williams when we get out of the pit cycle here. As he makes his way into the box, stops on his marks perfectly, and we'll get some service on that vehicle. And at this time, we want to give big shout out to the sponsor of tonight's race, Alpha Ornamental Metals. They solve your ornamental metal needs, including steel, aluminum, and iron. also home of the Streamline Railing. Those guys are located in Chesterfield, Virginia. Check them out on Facebook. See if they can help you out with your ornamental metal projects. And Tim Williams coming off pit road. He's actually going to come off in 7th here. And Dylan Canova, bad pit stop. He continues to sit on pit road, 59-second stop, so, or 59 seconds on pit lane, so long time there. As the 96 of Tim Williams makes it back up onto the track. We're going to see if we can dial him up here and get a word in with that driver. Tim Williams, this is Adam, the V-Speed booth. You have a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Well, Tim, you've got a pretty fast-looking race car out there tonight. You're up inside the top 10. Definitely a solid run for you here in this first half. How's the car feeling, and how do you think you're going to do here in the second half of this race?
Well, the car's feeling pretty good. She gets a little tight after a while, but and then starts to loosen up again. So, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping to hold my own and just want to finish it clean. That's all I need to.
Yeah, 10-4 on that. Car looks pretty good. No real damage to speak of. So, you kind of been riding here for this first half, or have you been pushing pretty hard?
I haven't been really pushing hard. Just seems to be getting lucky and catching up with people and passing them slowly. But I think I'm doing pretty good on the pits because I just gained another one coming out of the pits here. So actually another couple of spots. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll get up close to the front. Hopefully I stay where I am.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep our eye on you here in the second half of the race. But one final question before we let you go. What is your favorite rapid-fired pizza topping?
Pepperoni and bacon. I got 2 of them, okay?
There you go. That's a good choice. Bacon is always a good option. So good choice.
Good old
luck.
Canadian bacon, okay?
That's even better, honestly. Yeah, that's a good choice for sure. Well, good luck here in the second half of this race, Tim, and hopefully we talk to you later.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Tim Williams, the number 96 machine, having a good run here in 6th place right now. Gained a couple spots on the pit cycle, along with Dylan Canova having an issue. He's all the way back here at 14th, and he's got heavy right front damage on that race car. So not sure what happened. Mark Brannigan will get the lucky dog as he makes his way back around. He will be in the 15th position. And we'll see if he can close back in or if he was able to get damage fixed. He was sitting on pit road for almost a minute, so that Husky Chocolate number 52 looks like it's probably a little bit better off than it was, but not better off than before the contact. Is Chris James your leader here? I'm not sure if he won the battle off or not. Looks like Hernandez possibly winning the battle. Let's see here. No, I believe Chris James won the battle off pit road, and he's just elected to take the high line. And the pace car lights are off. Field double file. We're about to go green one more time. And since we just passed the halfway point, we want you to comment in chat who you think is going to win or your favorite driver, and we'll follow along with them here in the second half. But back underway, Chris James, huge jump. Jonathan Hernandez now in second. He's got pressure from Brandon Andrews and Alex Pelican. A couple of quick race cars out here tonight. Now up in the top 5 is the 42, so taking advantage of pit mistakes or the damage of other race cars. As everybody single file right now throughout the top 5. Daniel Hallis here in 5th. And that 53 machine is very quick on the long run, so we got to keep our eye on him. Looks like Tim Williams losing a couple spots here. First couple laps. Jacob Shorban now up to 7th. Setting his sights forward on Darren Clement, the number 1 machine up in front. Chad Genningsman here in 9th, just in front of Justin Boyles, who's done a good job to gain as many spots as he can. That car obviously very beat up. He's here in 10th position, and he's under fire from Justin Carey. That 21 machine right behind him. Looks like Genningsman maybe a little issue out of turn 4, and then the 10 looks to the outside, but that opens the door for Carey to come down to the inside, and he gets on the apron a little bit. Gonna have to back out of it to stay off of Boyles. They continue on their way. Let's keep an eye on the 52 of Mark Brannigan. as he rides back here with Dylan Canova. Those two very quick race cars, and I would expect to see them charge up through the field, but right now the 52 not quite making the ground up that I think he'd like to. As he rides behind the 32 of Christopher White, who's 9 laps off the pace. And Canova putting pressure on Etcheper, one of the playoff drivers. He's going to take that spot away going down into turn number 1 to move Canova up to 12th position. Here comes Brannigan in 14th, going to try and also take a spot and move up to 13th. Meanwhile, Jonathan Hernandez has not let the 8 get away, but it seems like that 8 car just gets better and better as the long run happens and the 88 starts to lose ground. But they have broken away a little bit from Alex Pelican, actually 1.8 seconds the gap back to Pelican from Jonathan Hernandez. Daniel Howitt's now moving up to 4th. He passed Brandon Andrews, and I think that 53 machine is one to contend with. And Chad Ginningsman now going the wrong direction. Here comes Jacob Shorba into 8th. I think Shorba maybe had an issue. He actually was up in 7th. And Justin Boyle's trying to hang on to this 10th position, fighting side by side with Justin Carey. 21 down low, looks like he's going to pull a slide job. Not quite the 10, trying to keep the nose in there, and he will. But this is a 3-way battle for that 10th position now. Dylan Canova going to just drive right on past. Boyle's going to hang tough on the outside. Not going to happen this time, though, as he drops to 12th. And Canova up into 11th. Mark Brannigan now in 13th. In that car, you can see the right front damage. But he started up in the 2nd spot here and is had a little bit of trouble there in stage 2, but at least with the caution, he was able to get back on the lead lap. And he's back in contention here just outside the top 10. As we saw an issue from Tim Williams. He got very sideways out of turn 4, almost, contact with Ginningsman, the 96 and 2. Racing hard here for 7th and 8th. We just talked to Tim during that caution break. And he is pushing that car a lot harder now than he was in those first 2 stages. And if you're just joining us here, this is the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series Dover 200 and race number 1 of round 2 in the playoffs. And a lot on the line for a lot of these drivers here tonight, as Tim Williams really struggling now out of turn 4. Here comes Shorba up behind him. We've had 4 cautions here tonight, 5 lead changes. And these are our track conditions. Looks like the track is starting to cool down. Started at a little over 95 degrees and now down to 91. So every little bit helps, but also might tighten up these race cars. Out front, it's Chris James, and he has led 111 out of the 118 laps. A dominant performance so far. And he won last night in the Nationals Series. So he is doing a good job here trying to repeat that performance. And Jonathan Hernandez right back here in 2nd. He has not led any laps yet, but he's been right there tracking the 8 car this whole race. And we are back under caution. The 24 machine of Canova, the 95 of Shorba involved in this, the 95 with heavy damage on the nose of that race car. That'll bring out our 5th caution of the night. Let's go back. It looks like possibly coming out of turn 2. I think the 96 maybe had an issue. He tagged the wall, and then the 24, not sure what happened with the 24. I'm gonna look from the nose of Shorba, see if we can figure out what happened here. Oh, the 95 a little loose behind the 96. And then he just drifted down into the 24 of Canova. Canova, one of the fastest cars here. Bad pit stop for him. And this should be about where they were racing. But yeah, the 24 going straight off the corner. And got turned there by Shorba, and not what Shorba wanted to see here after running up inside the top 10 here in this stage. That car heavily damaged, and we'll see if he's even able to continue. But now Chris Etchepare electing to stay out. That 41 machine gonna lead a lap. And coming out of pit lane, it's Chris James gonna win the battle. Jonathan Hernandez second. It looks like Daniel Hallis third. And Nicholas Starling also gonna stay out here, that 43 machine. Actually gonna get the lucky dog. But that's gonna lead to our next commercial break. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. We are back. The field double file. Ready to get us going one more time. I want to thank you guys for tuning in here tonight to V-Speed. We're live on Twitch. You can check us out on YouTube and Facebook as well. And also on Instagram and Twitter. At those links on your screen. Thank you guys for tuning in, following, subscribing here tonight. We are back underway at the Monster Mile. Chris James, a big jump there. Once again, he's been just dynamite on these restarts, shot out of a cannon every time. Jonathan Hernandez, though, trying to reel him back in, gets a good run out of turn 2, and going to maintain about a 6 car length gap behind. And for third place, it's the number 1 machine of Derek Clement and the 53 of Daniel Hallis, who's been so good on these long runs. With that 1 machine, I have not seen him up this high in the running order. He's doing a good job. Starting in 7th, he is up to that 3rd spot right now, and I think if this run continues on for any period of time, the 53 will come back and get him here. He's been very quick all race long. Alex Pelican also looks like he's got a pretty good car at this point in the race. Brandon Andrews back there in 6th. He's battling it out with Justin Carey. That 21 machine's been on a charge here, actually. Up from 17th, now inside the top 10 in 7th. And he's been battling up this way as we see the 2 of Ginnigsman way up the track. That car was sideways on entry. He's going to allow Mark Brannigan back up into 8th now. That 52 recovering nicely. It looks like Dylan Canova and Jacob Shorba quite a ways back here. Shorba did get the nose put back on that race car, but Canova up here in 14th. He's trying to recover. That car is more beat up than it was before, though. So he's going to try and catch up to Justin Boyles here. The 10 bouncing off the wall. And at the front, Chris James continuing the lead, but the 88 machine right there behind him. And trying to hang on to the lead is Chris James. He's dominated, but the 88 has found a little something here at the start of this run, I think. Those two have just driven away as Daniel Hallis now to the inside. He's going to pass Darren Clement. The one car losing a bit of ground here in 3 and 4 at 53. I think it's just going to drive away. He's been the fastest car on the long run, but not so great on these short runs. And Alex Pelican back here in 5th. He sets his sights forward on the one machine. As Carey down low underneath Brandon Andrews. This is for 6th and 7th. And here comes Mark Brannigan following through. He's going to try and take over that 7th spot from Andrews. And Brannigan continuing his recovery from the contact with Canova earlier that happened right about that area on the racetrack. And he now moves up into the 7th spot over Brandon Andrews and Chad Ginnigsman right here behind him. Matthew Benjamin quietly running back here in the 10th spot. Good race for him so far. And race car looks pretty clean. I don't think he has hit anything at this point in the race, so definitely a solid run up from 23rd. Taking care of that race car. Alex Pelican with an issue. He loses a spot to Justin Carey, and then Mark Brannigan right there, but the 3 dives back to the underside of the 21. Oh, and the 21 pinches him down. That costs the 3 the momentum on the exit of the corner. Here comes Brannigan. Gonna try and dive it in there in turn 3, and he will. That 52 just sticking like glue to the racetrack. But Pelican not gonna give him a whole lot of room as powers back around the outside, and Brannigan not able to complete that pass. Looks like Chris James has started to gap Hernandez now. This is the sight from the front of the 88. Now over half a second separating these two. It seems like that 8 car fires off really well. The 88 starts to close in and then just can never quite get there with the aero disadvantage. But you see him running a slightly different line to get as much air on the nose as he can, and the downforce is so important here at this racetrack. As Daniel Hallis now starting to pick up his lap times. He's very competitive with your top 2. 2.8 seconds off the leader. Meanwhile, a couple playoff drivers back here that are still running it out. Brian Pizzakemi in that 48 machine, he's back here in 21st. Currently 20 laps off the pace. He's basically been around that point since his latter pit stop for damage repair. And Christopher White up here in front of him in the 20th position. He is 9 laps off the pace. Jacob Shorba now going 2 laps down. That 95 machine definitely hurt here, and he's all the way back at 19th, so not what he wanted to start off his playoff run here in round 2. Looks like Wineset up here 1 lap down. Taylor Butcher Benjamin 1 lap down. Derek Runch also a lap down in that 47. And this is the battle for that lucky dog position. As the 47 has it, the 11 wants it. Tim Williams, last car on the lead lap back here in 15th. He's got heavy damage on that car, and he's about to go a lap down as your leaders are closing in rapidly. So Tim had a great run going up inside the top 10, and we saw him get loose earlier, but obviously did something to that race car while we weren't looking, and he's going to go to the apron and let these guys by. The 8 car starting to drive away, though. The only car is competitive time-wise. Actually, Hernandez was faster last lap by a half-tenth, but I have a feeling that 8 car going to stretch it out here just a little bit on this lap. Actually, no, Hernandez starting to close back in now. Your top 4 are in a class of their own time-wise. Everybody else running at least 23-second laps. Except for Dylan Canova, he ran at 22.7, which is about 0.2 faster than anybody else. So Canova trying to recover as well, and that car obviously very quick. He finds his way inside the top 10 now as he tags the wall out of turn 4. So we'll just run through the top 10 as they run out here. Chris James in the lead. In second, it's Jonathan Hernandez. Third, Daniel Hallis, a little ways back, but still running competitive times with those top 2. Darren Clement in 4th position, Justin Carey in 5th. 6th is Mark Brannigan. 7th, Alex Pelican. 8th is Chad Ginningsman. Brandon Andrews is 9th. And Dylan Canova finding his way back up in the top 10 with just over 50 laps to go. But those top 2 really have been the class of the field tonight. Hernandez not really ever more than a second behind your leader, but never able to close in to really under 2 or 3 tenths. That pocket of error is just so tough to overcome. But he is riding right here, half second back, and I think we're gonna have a green flag pit stop at some point in this run if we can make it to the end under green conditions. These 2 well out in front now, 3.5 seconds in front of Daniel Hallis. And 53 not showing quite the speed that we saw from him earlier in this race on the long run, but maybe just pacing himself right now. He is 4 seconds or so back from your leader, but he's been very smooth. Let's actually ride on board. You can hear he does have to blip the throttle a bit, but that car definitely not loose. He's just driving pretty smooth right now, and right in the mix time-wise with those top 2, but just has to make up that 4-second gap. So we'll see what he can do here with about 50 laps to go. The gap's still 6.5 tenths between your top 2. And battle on here for 7th and 8th with Alex Pelican and Chad Ginningsman. The 2 machine looking to try and take that spot. Oh, they make contact. The 3 goes around up into the wall. He's able to keep it moving forward, but the 3 machine of Alex Pelican, not what he wanted to see here in these latter stages. They're running up inside the top 10 and top 5 almost all race in that car now with heavy damage on the right side. And we just caught that. The 2 had poked the nose down in there, and the 3 tried to close the door, but there was a car down there, and just a racing deal really, but the 3 car pays the price. Ginningsman able to get away. I think he's gonna have some right front damage, but he moves up to 7th. Canova moving up into 9th. And Pelican now back to 10th. He's gonna have to try and ride this out and race as fast as he can to try and hold off the 38 machine, who's about second back from him. So that might be a little bit controversial here as we get closer to the final stages of this race. Chris James out in front, still 6/10 the gap. They've been running almost identical lap times, although that time out of turn 4 looks like Hernandez, yeah, about the same lap time again. Daniel Hallis a little bit faster, but 4.3 seconds back, that 53. Gonna have trouble making that up here with just about 45 to go. So smooth sailing for a lot of these drivers, but a lot of playoff contenders with issues. Chief of them gonna be Curtis Valenzuela, the 36 machine. He's 25th and out of the race early in this one. Ryan Strunk as well, out pretty much on lap 1 here in that 77 machine. He's going to finish in the last spot, 27th. Curtis Valenzuela going to finish in 25th here, so right down there with him. They're going to find themselves in a little bit of a hole, I think, coming out of this race tonight, as Chris James, not a playoff driver, looking to try and capture something here tonight and steal a win away from one of these playoff contenders like Jonathan Hernandez, who would love to lock himself into round 3, but has not had the pace to keep up. He is now starting to lose ground, now over a second behind Chris James. Meanwhile, Daniel Hallis checking up big time to get around Derek Runge. He lost a little bit of time right there. But I think this is about the point in the run where that 53 machine starts to come to life. He lost a couple tenths there making that pass, but I think he is going to start moving forward. Along with Canova, I think Dylan Canova also very quick. I think the damage is starting to affect him at this point in the run. Darren Clement, though, showing some surprising speed here as this run has progressed. He is one of your fastest cars on track, if not the fastest. So that one car maybe has something here to contend for it. Now as we're coming to 40 to go, just a lap or so. Chris James out in front, 1.1 seconds. Daniel Hallis now 4.3 back as he works through lap traffic. Gonna drive by Wineset in that 31 machine, as well as Pitts Kemby, the 48. Nicholas Starling, the next target, out his windshield. But he continues to lose time, having to work through these lap cars, and that is allowing those top two to escape. Now about 5 seconds the difference. Let's see if we can even see them out the nose. You can just see Jonathan Hernandez going down into the corner. So 53, a long ways to go, as he maybe starting to feel the effects of the tires on being out there 39 laps. Well, we'll see what kind of a lap time he puts in here. Jonathan Hernandez starting to run fast laps now. Bittlebits, thank you for the follow and supporting V-Speed here tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This is race number 4 of the playoffs here for the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series, but the first race in round 2, and quite a few drivers looking to lock themselves in to round 3 if they can, but a lot of drivers having issues really early in this race. Even on lap 1, I think about 4 or 5 playoff drivers caught up. Thank you, Airborne, for the follow, supporting V-Speed. We're taking a look here at Daniel Hallis. One of the fastest cars on the long run, but he is quite a ways back, and these laps are just flying by. Jonathan Hernandez, nothing to really contend with the 8 car out front. So he's just riding here at second, and hoping that that 8 car starts to fall off here at some point. But Darren Clement, the fastest car on track that time by almost 2 tenths. So I'm very interested to see if this one car can actually get up here and contend. As we have an issue for Chris James, who comes down pit road. Didn't expect him to make the pit stops, but I did mention earlier that we might have one. And here comes Chris James, your leader. He's going to come onto the pit lane, stopping his box nicely there, and start service on that race car. But he will go a lap down in the process. Here comes Jonathan Hernandez as well, making his way onto the pit lane. Daniel Hallis going to be the last one in the top 3, but it looks like he is going to come down here. Darren Clement going to take over the lead. That 53 machine almost locking up the tires. He does get it woed down. And we'll see if anybody else makes it onto pit road with him. Looks like the 21 of Justin Carey also going to come down. So this can make or break the race here. Jonathan Hernandez in his box. 14.3 stop for him. Chris James had a 14.7. Chris James now coming down into turn 1. He's going to go right on past Jonathan Hernandez. And he's going to extend that gap significantly. So obviously not a great stop or great time on pit road as Daniel Hallis now getting service. We'll see where he cycles out. Chris James now coming through 3 and 4. Hallis still in his boxes. Oh, we had a car locking it up, I think, coming onto pit road. Not sure who that was. But Hallis now making his way off of pit road. And the leaders just drive right on past him. Here comes Darren Clement continuing to stay out there under green. He's just going to lose a lot of time here. But he'll make it up on the backside, I think. But will he have enough time to make it all up? Or is he going to try and make it to the end here? 47 laps on these tires. He's got a ways to go, but he does have all those other leaders trapped a lap down. Daniel Hallis 2 laps down right there behind him. Going to try and slip on by now, go 1 lap down for the 53 machine. We'll see if Clement decides to make that stop here or not. He is running a 23:30. And Chris James ran a 22:40, so a whole second or so that lap, but Chris James still a lap down. He's got a long ways to make up. And if the one car can indeed make it to the finish without having to save too much fuel, I think he can hang on and win this. And yes, sir, long runs today. These guys who are still out there have been out there for 50 laps. One of the longer runs that we've seen from these guys throughout the season. Now Darren Clement looks like he is going to make the stop. He's going to hand the lead over to Mark Brannigan, who elects to stay out. I think he is saving fuel, possibly. Yeah, shutting the engine off. The 52 of Brannigan. He's just trying to run this thing out. Ginningsman right here behind him might be pulling the same strategy. Dylan Canova also out here. And let's see what that car is doing. He's still got the engine going. Chad Ginningsman in second. Not a whole lot of throttle. Being very easy on it right now. Brannigan, I think, still saving. Yeah, he's still shutting the engine off. The 2 car is not, so I don't know if he's going to be able to make it or not, but Chris James right here in turns 1 and 2, and Brannigan right behind him, so Chris James back on the lead lap. He'll be about 22 seconds behind your leader, running about a 1.5 seconds faster per lap, and with 25 to go now, it will be close. The majority of the field traps 1 lap down. Jonathan Hernandez, the next one to try and get his car back on the lead lap, and he'll do it right there. Just flies right on past the leader. We'll watch as the 8 car and the 88 car just click down on that ticker there. About a second a lap, maybe more. Hernandez running a 21.9 the previous lap. So very quick from the 88. He's got about 3 seconds to make up to Chris James, which might be about impossible at this point. And Daniel Hallis, the next one to set his sights on the leader, but still a ways back. Matthew Benjamin now coming down pit road, and a lot happening here. Dylan Canova out front. He's going to take the lead away from Mark Brannigan. And Canova, your pole sitter, ran so well here yesterday in the National Series, but he's been out here 56 laps on these tires, and he's still racing it out. Not shutting the car off. Mark Brannigan, though, I think is. We'll listen on board with the 52 one more time. Shuts the engine off. There goes the 96 of Tim Williams right on by. As well as Christopher White. Chad Ginningsman right here. He's got a little bit of a gap up to Brannigan. But he is the last of the drivers out in the top 3 here to not take a pit stop. And if any kind of caution occurs here, we've only got 20 to go. I think that all the drivers, though, would have to come down pit lane with, you know, at least 15 laps on their tires. Darren Clement, only 6 laps on the tires. He might elect to take 2 if anything was to happen, but he is still trapped 1 lap down. So I really don't know how this is all going to work out. Chris James and Jonathan Hernandez really gaining, but we're at 20 to go, and Dylan Canova running 23.7s. Chris James 22.8 there. So 9/10 a lap with 19 to go. The math works out that they would get there, but they're not going to keep running those laps. That time, Chris James at 22.8 to the 23.4, so 6/10, and that would not do it. Canova just gonna see if he has enough fuel. Or just hoping for a caution possibly. And Ginningsman out here as well. Just running very smooth, trying to save fuel. He's about 4 seconds off your leader. Running a 24.1. So Canova, the fastest of those guys still out there. But he allows the 10 car Boyles to go by. The 10 goes back to 1 lap down. Now all but the top 6 on the lead lap, or off the lead lap, I should say. And oh, maybe an issue there for, who was that behind the 24? That's the 21 of Justin Carey. A scary moment there coming out of turn 2, I think. Oh, he tagged the wall. Yeah, it went way down the track to save it. But he gets back on the lead lap now, so top 7 on the lead lap. And we're at, going to be coming to 15 to go here. The gap back to Chris James, 10.5 seconds. Canova running a 23.8 last time by. Chris James at 22.9, so back to 9/10 the difference. And at that rate, it would be Chris James to get the car back out front, but they continue to slow down. And the 24 car running a 23.5 that time to Chris James 23 flat. Here comes the 24 to pit road though. And that's more than likely guarantees the win to Chris James, but Brannigan and Ginningsman racing it up here for the top spot. Devil Gavin 24, thank you for following and for supporting V-Speed tonight. The 52 really off the pace now. I'm gonna go on board here. He's got a bad handling race car at this point. He's well off the throttle there, and right behind him is Chris James breathing down his neck. Only 2.2 seconds the difference between Chris James and Chad Ginningsman, who's trying to hang on here. And the gap between Hernandez and Chris James has closed up significantly, only about a second between them. And here's the 88 now going by Brannigan. He'll move up to the 3rd spot. And the gap between Ginningsman and Chris James now under a second as they come down the front straightaway. The 2 machine, not anything he can do here. And we're going to be coming to 11 to go next time by. There's the 8 machine right in his mirror. Ginningsman been out there for 67 laps. And it's just not going to work out here. The 8 machine going to eat him up as they come down the front straightaway. There goes Chris James to the bottom. He will retake the lead, but Jonathan Hernandez going to have to try and chase him down here. Going to be 10 to go at the line next time. And Brannigan continuing to ride out here. That car is slipping and sliding as he gets passed up by Tim Williams. Here goes the 31 machine right on past. He's running 24.5 second laps. Well off the pace. Chris James out in front. The gap 3/4 of a second, so Hernandez continuing to close. He was 2/10 faster last time by, and if my math is correct, he would get there at that pace. But can he continue to close? This was the gap earlier, and the 88 wasn't able to do it, but now a 1 lap difference on tires. He is closing in rapidly. And does Chris James have anything left? Did he burn up the tires getting through all the traffic? Does Jonathan Hernandez have anything to get there? It's now 6 tenths. 6.5 tenths. This is where they've been all night. The 88 just has not had anything to contend with the 8 car once he got to this point, but he's gonna have to figure something out here. Time is running short as he goes way up the track now. Lets the 43 is Starling on past. See if he can get a little pull down the straightaway here. He will, and that'll actually close the gap up, but it's gonna hurt him in the corner. But this is to lock him into round 3 as the 8 car way up the track. Chris James has to let the 43 by. That slowed him way down. And the 88 of Hernandez sees that door open up just a little bit. He closed in about a 10th, but he lost it down the straightaway. Not a good exit out of turn 4 for Hernandez as they continue down the back straightaway. The 8 almost tagged the wall. Here's the gap now, 2 car lengths. And they're coming to 5 to go. This is going to be for all the marbles here. This run closing out quickly as we see Chad Ginningsman coming down pit road. He's going to go a lap down. Mark Brannigan still riding. He's going to try and make it with 5 to go. It's a tall order. He's been out there for 73 laps. And the 8 car of Chris James continuing to lead. It's a 1/4 of a second though, and the 8 a little tight out of the corner. Here comes Hernandez. Right to the back bumper as they go down into turn 1, 4 to go. The 88 machine of Jonathan Hernandez looking for a victory. He needs it to go into round 3 and take the pressure off of him at least. He's run so well, but been second fiddle as he tries to make the pass. Now Chris James up high, Jonathan Hernandez down low. The 88 trying to get the nose out front for the first time, and he will. At the line, he's gonna try and make the pass here. Chris James not gonna challenge him too hard into the corner, but oh, he messes up there. The 8 sideways has to hang on to it, and then Jonathan Hernandez out in front here, 3 to go. The 8 gonna make the crossover down into turn 3, but not the run that he needs there. He's still alongside the 88, really wide in that corner, but the 8 struggling now. The last few laps, he has not been able to keep up. The 88 has been faster by a 10th or so, and he's got the car out in front in clean air, and that's Chris James' worst nightmare at this point. But somehow, some way, that 88 car, he's figured it out here in this last run, but it's not over. Here comes Chris James back to the bottom side. 1 car length the difference coming down the front straightaway. White flag in the air. And the 88 machine, Jonathan Hernandez trying to hang on to it. Chris James hard charging behind, but is he going to be able to do it? I don't think so. I think Hernandez has it all but locked up. Coming out of turn 4, Jonathan Hernandez making the pass late will win and lock himself into round 3. And a heck of a race by Jonathan Hernandez. And he will come away your winner here tonight. Congratulations to the 88 machine. Jonathan Hernandez leading the last 4 laps of this race. Chris James couldn't hang with him there for those last couple laps, but he will come away and lock himself into round number 3. Nice clean racing between all these guys here, so that is good to see as well. But we are going to cut quickly to a commercial break, and we'll be right back with our post-race interviews. And we are back here at Dover, where Jonathan Hernandez has just won his way into round number 3 of the playoffs. We're going to talk with him now. Jonathan Hernandez, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Jonathan, you stole one away here. That car obviously hooked up in that last run, but how'd you do it there after the pit cycle? How'd you chase him down?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was already telling my team, hey, I'm fine with second. You know, it'll be a good point stay heading to next week. But I was able to catch him down mainly due to the lab cars. And since they held him up a little bit, I was like, okay, I do have a chance. Hopefully, I was hoping we would run it all the way down to the final lap. But I was able to get by him pretty with 5 to go, and I was able to snag it. I still don't know how. I'm surprised by myself.
Yeah, you were pretty much running second to him the whole race, and you know, we'd see you close into a couple tenths here and there, but it seemed like you couldn't really make it past the 6/10 cushion. So do you think that was just the dirty air out there tonight, and you know, once you guys both got back in traffic, it just helped you a little bit more?
Well, surprisingly, the dirty air wasn't a problem for me. It was mainly the cloud cover. I would be loose on one end, and then cloud cover, I'll be tight, and it was just all sorts of weird, I guess, car handling. So I tried to do minor adjustments on pit road, especially early on the run with the amount of cloud cover we had. And luckily, it was sunny. The sun came out towards the end, and it was able to hook up perfectly.
And hook up perfectly it did, and you were able to catch right up there, and it was a great battle. Very exciting finish, and you definitely put on a show for us. Next week we head to Talladega, and how does it feel to have no pressure on you for that track?
It's kind of big. So far this year, we had no luck on super speedways, so I was hoping I would win either this week or Kansas, knowing that I may be involved in the big one next week. So to get the win off already here at Dover and going to Dega, knowing I don't need to push as hard is a relief. But I need to help my teammate now, Brian, in the 48 try to advance. So we're gonna most likely try to either run up front or take it easy the entire race and see what we come up with. But like you said, it was an amazing run with Chris. It's always a blast with him. Daniel got third, and overall it was a good race.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and not too many cautions out there tonight, so you really had to be strong on these long runs, and you were sticking right there with Chris the whole time. And Daniel was, you know, he was always about 3-4 seconds back, but he would eventually keep up with you. So it was interesting to see kind of the dynamic of the cars that were good on the long run and the cars that were, you know, really fast on that short run but would fade. So obviously your car pretty good throughout the whole run, and you come away the winner tonight. So before we let you go celebrate, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, first, yeah, I would like to thank, of course, the sponsor of this series, Alpha Ornamental Metals, Rapid Fire Pizza, and of course, Shorbit's iRacing Paints. You know, without them three, you know, we wouldn't have this going on. I would like to thank my team mainly because they were able to help me get ready for Dover. Dover was been one of my terrible tracks, and coming into the week, we started off strong and luckily able to carry the horseshoe all the way through the entire weekend. So hopefully it carries over next week and have another amazing run. Tell you, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for sure. And they're always chaotic at those super speedways, but it makes for an exciting race. So congratulations here tonight. You stole this one away, and you put on a great show there. So congratulations. Go celebrate, and we'll catch up with you at Talladega.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the broadcast. Also, I'm gonna be watching after this.
Yeah, definitely a good one. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So thank you, and we'll catch you next week.
10-4.
All right, your winner here tonight, Jonathan Hernandez. He comes away in front of second place, Chris James, who we just brought up to the booth. Chris James, do you got a copy?
I got you.
Well, Chris came up a little bit short. It was almost the kind of the opposite scenario of what you went through last night in the National Series. But what happened there in the last run that allowed Jonathan to catch up to you?
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. It was a good race. It was a good race. I'm sure it was fun to watch. Exciting finish.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun one. you know, obviously you guys were fighting through lap traffic. Do you think the dirty air, you know, instead of being out in clean air, did that make any difference, or was it just trying to navigate through?
It was more of a matter of just trying to navigate through and trying to adjust my line, figure out what people were gonna do, and go from there.
Yeah, 10-4. It definitely throws a wrench in things if you can't run your normal line and maybe not able to predict where everybody else is running. But
No, it's racing, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't run this series for fun. You know, I'm just a sub, so
yep.
I can't complain. My heart was racing though. I won't lie.
Yeah.
Good win, Jonathan. Good win to Jonathan. Well deserved. That was awesome.
Yeah, and you come out of here, so second place after starting at third. You led 162 laps, so definitely a lot to be proud of. And your teammate in the number 3 machine, he ended up with the top 10 as well. So you guys had some solid runs here, and continue the good runs with Richard Childress Racing. So what are your thoughts?
Awesome.
Are you going to be filling in next week as we go to Talladega?
I will probably sit that one out.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't want to get involved in that with the championship implications, or I'm not going to get in that.
Yeah, 10-4. But it was good to see you have a nice solid run out here. You get a 1-2, you know, for the weekend. So a lot to be proud of. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for tonight's finish?
Yeah, thanks to Richard Clement for giving me a shot in his ride here. But I need to tell him it still smells like Pop-Tarts in here. Oh, spit your dart.
All right. Well, congratulations on the second place run here, Chris. You put on a great show. Go celebrate. We'll catch up with you next weekend.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Second place finisher, Chris James. Obviously not the finish he was looking for, but a solid run overall. And we're going to bring up third place finisher, Daniel Hallis. This is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You have a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Adam?
Pretty good. Well, Daniel, you had a good car out here tonight from what we could see. It seemed like you were really good on the long run. So were you looking forward to, you know, maybe making up the time that you lost through the pit cycle with just the speed in the car?
Yeah, actually, this car was on fire today after about 20 laps, but like the first 20 laps, I couldn't really do much with it.
Yeah, we'd see you drop back to 3 or 4 seconds behind, and then it'd start to level out, and you'd start, you know, slowly chewing into their lead. You know, half-tenth here, half-tenth there, and you know, we were definitely keeping our eye on you to see if you could make it up there, but just not enough time, or do you think pitting after the leaders really cost you a shot at it?
Well, see, I've been so busy with work this week. Tater helped me out quite a bit with getting around here and whatnot tonight again. So he told me, like, literally I needed to pit when the leaders came down, and we got a little sidetracked with a lap car that spun down, and I seen Chris disappear, and I'm like, where'd he go? And he went down pit road. I'm like, dude, we gotta go. He goes, yeah, come on. So, I mean, we were planning on trying to get down when Chris got down, but I mean, Chris and John were on fire tonight, and I couldn't have been happier to lose the two better guys. So congratulations to John and Chris. A heck of a race for him.
Yeah, 10-4. They definitely were, I think, the class of the field, at least on the short run, and it seemed like you and maybe a couple other cars. The one car was really good on the long run as well. And so I thought, you know, if the cycle went correctly, you might have a shot at it. But ultimately, you come home third here after starting at fourth. You did lead a lap, so I don't know if I think they give bonus points for those here. So that's something to take away from this. And we go to Talladega next week. So what are your thoughts on going out there?
Talladega is going to be interesting. Hopefully, both of my teammates can, you know, we can work something out. Maybe pull a page out of Bill Elliott's book and hang out on the back or something until the end. I don't know. We'll have to talk with them at Rick Roy Racing and see what they're wanting to do. But yeah, this track's what I love, like going down wide open and then slamming on the brakes to get the car wound up and let it roll. It's my kind of track.
10-4. It'll be interesting next week for sure. You've had a string of really solid runs here the last few weeks, so we'll see if you can finally capture a victory maybe next week. as we're starting to close in towards the end of the season. But
Yeah, I was sorry to cut you there, but I've been trying to show what I have for next season, but it turns out I'll be running the Xfinity car next year, so still trying to show people I got some.
yeah, you've been running very solidly here, and you know, I don't know how many top fives in a row, but you definitely have had a few here in recent weeks. So you know, it's been good seeing you run up towards the front here and have a lot to compete, you know, with these fast guys who are regulars in this series and have been running here all season. But you get the top 3 today. You know, obviously great run for you. Anybody you want to give a shout out to that made this possible?
Yeah, of course. Definitely thank you for broadcasting, Alpha Ornamental Metals for their sponsorship, along with Rapid Fire Pizza and Shorba's iRacing Paints. Definitely a big shout out to Gen X Racing and Emerald Coast Coins for sponsoring the car, and Tater Bowman for spotting. And that's about it.
Yeah, 10-4. Congratulations here, Daniel. Not the win, but at 3rd place, a great run for you. So go celebrate, and we will catch up with you at Talladega.
All right, looking to talk to you there.
All right. And that was your 3rd place finisher, Daniel Hallis. But tonight's winner was Jonathan Hernandez, the 88 machine, coming home with the victory. And let's take a look at our playoff standings as they came into the race tonight. This is what it looked like coming into the event. So definitely a few drivers having issues in tonight's race, namely Ryan Strunk, who came in at the bottom. He finishes last in the field tonight. So going to be interesting to see if he can make it up next week at Talladega, maybe hoping for a win, as he's going to be pretty well out of the picture, I think. Christopher White came home 19th here, so not the best run for him. Brian Pizzakemi was on the outside looking in. He came home 21st, and then Justin Boyles actually had the best run of anybody who was sitting on the outside. He comes home 7th, so that's good for him. Eric Wineland comes home 22nd, which was not a great run after he got caught up early. And then Brian Pizzakemi comes home in 21st. We may have already mentioned that. Yes, we did. So a few playoff drivers with issues. And it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out here after tonight's race. But in terms of the results here at Dover for race number 1 of round 2, it was a good one, and Jonathan Hernandez came out on top. We had 5 cautions and 15 lead changes, so it really, the lead changed hands quite a bit here in the second half of the race, and it was definitely exciting coming down to the wire. So Jonathan Hernandez comes out on top, taking the lead away from Chris James with only a few laps to go. So Chris James will come home 2nd. Daniel Hallis, solid run for him. He comes home 3rd. Justin Carey going to come home in 4th position here tonight. In 5th, it was Darren Clement. 6th was Brandon Andrews. 7th was Justin Boyles. Alex Pelican, who won the last 2 events, he comes home in 8th here tonight. 9th place was Matthew Benjamin, and rounding out the top 10 was Chris Etcheper, and only 6 total cars on the lead lap tonight. So definitely a solid run for those drivers, but everybody else had some issues here tonight. In 11th was Dylan Canova. He stayed out extra long. He ends up just outside the top 10. Chad Ginnigsman finishes 12th. Nicholas Starling comes home in 13th. Mark Brannigan 14th. Tim Williams, who had a solid run going, he comes home 15th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin comes home here in 16th. Frank Weinset 17th. Jacob Shorba, points leader coming into tonight's race. He's going to come home here in 18th. Christopher White 19th, and Derek Runge rounds out the top 20. In 21st, it was Brian Pizzakemi. 22nd, Eric Wineland. 23rd, Alex Link. 24th, Jeremy Boucher. 25th, Curtis Valenzuela. 26th, Chris Hansen. And rounding out the field of starters here tonight was Ryan Strunk. James Love did not take the field, but he's going to show up last on the results here. But that's going to do it for the race tonight. We want to thank you all for tuning in here to V-Speed for the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series Dover 200 presented by Alpha Ornamental Metals. We want to thank everybody who followed tonight, and if you enjoyed enough to consider subscribing, we would really appreciate that. It helps us to continue to bring you great racing content throughout the week. And we are live here with the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series and the National Series on Fridays and Saturdays each and every week. So tune in next week for the race at Talladega here in the Cup Series. And we're also going to be live over on YouTube, and that's also where we post race replays about a week after we're live here. So on YouTube, next Monday, we're going to be live with the Ford Entertainment Group iRacing Flea Market Series, so check us out for that race. Check out last week's event if you missed it, and subscribe to us on that platform as well. Also, if you want to stay up to date with race announcements, special events, things like that, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/vspeedsim. You can also check us out on Instagram and Twitter, where we post special event announcements and new merchandise and so much more. So check us out on those platforms as well. And finally, we want to give a shout out to the sponsor of tonight's race, Alpha Ornamental Metals. They solve your ornamental metal needs, including steel, aluminum, and iron. Also home of the Streamline Railing. Those guys are located in Chesterfield, Virginia, so go support them and follow them over on Facebook at facebook.com/Alpha Ornamental Metals. We want to thank everybody once again for tuning in here tonight to the Dover 200, the iRacing Fantasy Cup Series. We'll be back on Monday over on YouTube, and then right back here on Twitch on Wednesday with the Norse Force Valhalla Cup Series. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.